What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Sideswipe the Boss, back at it again with another video, and I'm here with another TV show review. And I noticed I kind of lied on the last TV show review I did in the Arrowverse, because I said it was going to be Arrow Season 3 that's next after Arrow Season 2, but chronologically, this next show comes next. So, without further ado, I will be starting the new TV show in the Arrowverse, which is The Flash Season 1. And before I start the review, I am not doing standout episodes this season again, because this season is a very good season, and I would do almost every episode if I was doing standout episodes. But I will start those soon with the less greater seasons. But here we are with The Flash Season 1. So, The Flash Season 1 basically opens up with Barry Allen. He's a CSI in the Central City Police Department. He's always late to everything. Hardy, har, har. And, his life kind of sucks right now. But then a particle accelerator explodes, and he gets struck by lightning and is put in a coma for 9 months. After those 9 months, Barry Allen wakes up in Star Labs, and he goes back into the real world, noticing that he can travel at high speeds, and he decides to use those powers for good and to help the innocent and stop evil metahumans, as they're called, and he becomes the superhero speedster known as the Flash. So the main characters list for this season is as follows. We have Barry Allen, Iris West, Joe West, Caitlin Snow, Cisco Ramon, Eddie Thawne, and Harrison Wells, who is the main villain of the season, also known as Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash. Just like with Arrow, I believe that the casting directors did a good job with casting this season. All the actors and actresses, they do well in their roles. They portray good amounts of emotion when needed. There's also more humor in this show than in Arrow, because I know Arrow is kind of more of a darker show, but the humor also adds a nice touch to the show as well. And yeah, I just like how well they were cast this season. So to start off the main characters list, we have Barry Allen, aka The Flash, played by Grant Gustin. Just like with Stephen Amell in Arrow, Grant Gustin portrays a good amount of emotion. He's a great Barry Allen. He has good jokes when he needs it. Since the Flash doesn't stress that much on fight choreography, I can't really say he has good fight scenes. Well, there are very good fight scenes in this season, but it's less choreography and more CGI, which I'll get to that later. But yeah, he's pretty good. Like I also said in Arrow, Grant Gustin doesn't look like the typical Barry Allen from the comics, but like I said, I can't unsee it now, and Grant Gustin is the Flash. Like I said, he portrays a good amount of emotion when needed. He has great chemistry with most of the cast, and yeah, Barry Allen's a great character. Next up, we have Iris West, played by Candice Patton. This was, in my opinion, one of Iris West's best seasons, and I'll talk about that in a later season, but for right now, this is one of her best seasons. She portrays a good amount of emotion. She has good chemistry with most of the characters. Her journalism story is really good. I like how that was pulled straight from the comic books, how she's a journalist, and this season basically just starts as the stepping stones of that, where she's first has a blog post, and then she joins the Central City, I think it's it's not the Citizen, I think it's Central City News that she joins this season. And yeah, just pushing that story is pretty good. The only thing I didn't like about her was her relationship with Eddie. That was just weird. And once again, there's also like a trifecta in, well, not like a trifecta, but like a love triangle in this season between Barry, Eddie, and Iris that I didn't like. Similarly to Arrow season 1, where it was Oliver, Tommy, and Laurel. I didn't like this little triangle that was in this season, but I'll get to that later in the episode. But yeah, Iris West is a very good character. Next up, we have Joe West, played by Jesse L. Martin. Joe is also a pretty decent character this season. He also portrays good amounts of emotion when needed. He has good chemistry with the rest of the cast. He's a very good detective. Like, I like that storyline towards like the back half of the season where he was trying to figure out what secret that Harrison Wells was hiding. And that was pretty good to show off his like detective skills and stuff like that. And also him working with Barry to try and get Barry's father out of prison. And yeah, there's not really much to say about that. That's really all he did this season, and also the appearances in Star Labs. They were pretty good. But yeah, Joe West was a pretty good character this season. Next up, we have Kaylin Snow, played by Danielle Panabaker. Kaylin is a pretty good character this season. She has a pretty good storyline with her fiance Ronnie, as he's half of Firestorm this season. I'll talk about that later in the episode. Yeah, that's a pretty good storyline. She has a good amount of emotion when needed. She's pretty smart, she's a medical doctor. I think that's what she is. But yeah, she's pretty good, and she's a good addition to Team Flash, and also her like helping out Team Flash when they figure out that Harrison Wells is actually evil. So that's pretty good. And yeah, she's a pretty good character this season, and she kind of gets better later on. Next up, we have Cisco Ramon, played by Carlos Valdez. Cisco Ramon is probably like my second favorite character of the show because his comedy is like hilarious. Like every time he like cracks a joke or like does something that's like, well, supposed to be funny, like I find it funny, like very funny. He's a great comic relief to the show, but he's also a good addition to Team Flash. Him being the mechanic of like the crew, the team. Actually, he does pretty well. He has good amounts of emotion when needed, like especially with like that storyline with his brother. That was pretty good. Yeah, he has great chemistry with lots of the characters. He has a great relationship with Harrison Wells, and that's also tested when he finds out that Harrison Wells is evil. So that's pretty good. And yeah, Cisco Ramon is a great character, and his character only gets better on from here. Next up, we have Eddie Thawne, played by Rick Cosnett. I think that's how you say his last name. But yeah, Eddie was just one of those characters. Like he was good here and there. He didn't really have a consistent storyline. The only storyline he really had was with Iris, and once again, that was the little love triangle with him, Iris, and Barry, and I didn't like that at all. It was just weird. I don't like love triangles like that at all. It's stupid. I don't understand why TV shows do it, but hey, they gotta make their money somehow. And most people like it, but I just don't like it. But yeah, Eddie was an okay character. He was just Joe's partner in the CCPD. He found out that when Harrison Wells was revealed to be evil. He was actually Eobard Thawne, and Eddie Thawne is Eobard's like distant relative, well, like distant ancestor, and yeah, that was pretty okay. And I guess the sacrifice he made at the end of the season, where he killed himself to stop Eobard, that was alright, I guess. But yeah, Eddie Thawne was just an character, and I wasn't really sad to see him go, but then again, like, he was just like, I didn't really care that he died. Finally, we have the main villain of the season, Harrison Wells, aka Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash, played by Elon Musk's twin brother, Tom Cavanagh. Tom Cavanagh, he was a great main villain this season. it was very smart of him to like pretend to be friends to Team Flash just to gain their trust, just to get Barry faster to complete his own goals. So that was pretty smart. He portrayed good amounts of emotion when needed. He was very cunning, very smart. Yeah, he has great chemistry with the rest of the cast, and yeah, he's a pretty menacing villain. I love the Reverse Flash costume. The costume's great, and it's cool that they introduced like the Reverse Flash ring towards like the end of the season. That was pretty cool, and yeah, I'm glad he returns later in the show. It's kind of weird that he still uses Harrison Wells' face now because it was revealed that he's actually Erebor Thawne, played by a different actor, Matt Letcher, and he plays Reverse Flash in Legends of Tomorrow season 2, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, Tom Cavanaugh is a great main villain. He plays a great main villain, and yeah, he's just a great character, and he's one of the main reasons why season 1 was so well done. So then we have a few side characters to go over. We got Henry Allen, who's played by John Wesley Shipp, the original Flash himself of the 1990 something. It was like in the 90s Flash TV show. He's pretty good. He was in jail for the whole time, but whenever he showed up, it was nice to see. He has great chemistry with Grant Gustin, and their scenes are amazing. Like they're very emotional, very heartfelt, and everything. And yeah, he's a good character for not appearing that much in the season. Then we also got like Captain Singh. He's okay. I mean, he's just like the stereotypical boss guy person. Then we got Ronnie Raymond, who's half a Firestorm. He's all right. He doesn't really do much except be half a Firestorm, which is pretty cool nonetheless. Then Martin Stein, he's the other half of Firestorm. He's pretty good. He's kind of funny because of like in his intellect. Like, well, it's funny when he makes jokes about like his with his intellect and stuff like that. That's pretty cool to see. And so yeah, the cast of the Flash is very very well done. All right, moving along from the characters, let's talk about like the rest of the season. Well, first we got the costumes. The costumes are pretty good this season. I like the Flash costume a lot. Although the red in the emblem instead of white, it threw me off a little bit. But I guess they were just starting out, so I don't blame them for that. Really like the Reverse Flash costume a lot. Like, to be honest, the Reverse Flash costume was the best costume to me this season, cause the yellow and black just they like clash on each other so perfectly. Then the red lightning bolt on his emblem, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I don't think there were any more like main costumes this season. Yeah, it's just the Flash costume and the Reverse Flash costume, and those two costumes, like especially when they're like fighting and stuff, that's pretty good. Like the colors of their costumes along with their lighting, they clash together so well. But yeah, moving on from costumes, then we got like let's talk about like the colors and like CGI and stuff like that. Since the Flash focuses more on CGI than fight choreography, the the fight scenes were great. The CGI was great this season. Like I said, the colors are like the Flash suit and the Reverse Flash suit and their lightning. Whenever they fight, that was pretty cool to see. Yeah, there's some pretty good fight scenes, speedster battles as well. Yeah, they were pretty good, and yeah, it was I wouldn't say top notch because it gets better as the show goes along, but it's pretty good, like very good actually for where it started. The villains of the week, they were actually pretty good this season. This is like one of the few seasons of the Flash where like not the main villains, the villains of the week were actually pretty good. Some standout main villains to me were like Captain Cold. He's probably my favorite one. Yeah, him and Heat Wave, they made a pretty good team. I liked Mark Martin. I think that's what his name was. The Weather Wizard, not the first one from the first episode. The one in episode 15, I believe. That's when he showed up. So yeah, he was pretty good. I know the Clock King returned for like an episode, so he was alright. Even though he didn't like face the Flash or none, he was still okay. And Gorilla Grodd was also a very good villain of the week. Even though he like played into Reverse Flash's plan, he still was pretty good. And yeah, the villains of the week were also a contributor to how good the season was. The overall storyline of the season was pretty good. You know, Barry just trying to go around figuring out how his powers work and, you know, helping people. Then finding out that the Reverse Flash is back. You know, the guy who killed his mother in the past. And, you know, him trying to become fast enough to stop him. That was pretty good. I also like how Eobard Thawne was ahead of Team Flash the whole time. You know, with him having surveillance on all of them for at least like 15 years or something. So that's pretty crazy that he's ahead of them like 15 years, where they only just caught on to it for a few weeks. So that was pretty good. And yeah, there weren't that many side storylines. You know, there was some like a few gradual character arcs, which was pretty decent. Some of them were like I said, the love triangle between Barry, Eddie, and Iris. I didn't like that at all. But yeah, the storylines were pretty good this season. And before I forget, I'm going to talk about the crossover of this season. This season marks the third year of the Arrowverse, and with this marks the first year that two shows cross over in the Arrowverse, which is Arrow and The Flash. So yeah, they had the first crossover this season. The episode was called Arrow versus Flash. Basically, Barry just like kind of loses control after a metahuman who induces anger or something like that hits him, and Oliver Queen is brought in to like stop him and stuff. And that was a pretty cool episode. It's a part of a two-parter. I'll talk about part 2 in the Arrow season 3 review, which will be next. But yeah, this part was actually really good. I really like how the two actors, Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin, they have great chemistry together. And yeah, this was a very good episode, way better than part 2. But like I said, I'll get to that in another video. But yeah, the first crossover in the Arrowverse is pretty good, which paves the way for even better crossovers in the future. In conclusion, with a combination of great fight scenes, great emotion from the actors and actresses, and a great overall storyline, The Flash Season 1 is a great way to introduce the show to us and introduce the second show in the Arrowverse. And I give this a 9 out of 10. The only hitches for me were the Eddie, Iris, and Barry love triangle thing, and plus a few inconsistencies here and there. But other than that, The Flash Season 1 is a good season of the Arrowverse, so I give it a 9 out of 10. Alright, and that is all for this video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in next time to see the next review in this little Arrowverse review series, which will be Arrow Season 3. Leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more of my videos, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. I'm just getting started. I've been making moves.